Hi class, this is Mercedes, and I'll be talking for a few minutes on the training, learning, and development section. As a manager, you definitely want to be able to connect with your employees. It's important to ask these questions when you're planning a training. How does the training improve the learning experience overall? And how does it change the behavior of the employees that you're going to be addressing? One of the theories that we learned about was the POSCORP. And if we took this example into planning an actual training session, these are some of the things that, we can consider. The planning, what behaviors do we expect? The organizing, how our office is to be made responsible for implementing objectives when considering staffing, the criterion in hiring and promotions, directing, assign responsibilities, coordinating, very similar. We will need to assign responsibilities, reporting, report accomplishments, and budgeting, supply the resources specifically for the training, and that could be the building, the food, all of the supplies that will go into the training, paying the additional staff, and that encompasses everything. So the POSCORP theory can work in the training environment as well. I think there's two schools of thought when people hear training. There's some that are excited and they see that there are pros. Some of the pros could be it's learning, possibly to make the task easier. It could be fun depending on who the presenter is. And there could be activities that get you moving and, having a good time. It could be a change of venues and environment to switch up the pace of, everyday work. And then it could be tapping into the creative side of the employee and allowing them to express themselves and give more of their opinion. Some of the cons, they could be, depending again on the presenter, maybe a little bit more boring. The topics might be unrelated to the people who are actually attending the training. I've been to a few of those where I was put on the list to go to the training and it was about information that didn't even involve my department. And that was, it was tough to sit through. It gave me an insight on some of the things that were going on and for the other departments, but unrelated. And then when you have a presenter who's unclear, depending on who they are, if they're speaking too quiet, if their examples don't make sense and they're not able to connect with their audience, that could be a discouragement. So when having trainings, it's so important to have a target. What is the mission? What is the goal? And be very clear how it is that the information that you're providing to the listeners, how it's going to make their job either easier or how it's going to benefit the system as a whole. And I think that's what needs to happen, is that connection. If you can get the audience on the same page and to understand and believe that the information that the presenter is giving is needed, that is the greatest step of overcoming and bringing change into an organization. If there's no backing, if you have an audience or employees who've done the same thing for years and years, there's some way that the manager is going to have to find out, or the trainer is going to have to find out, why is it going to benefit them and why would they want to change? So having that target going into the training is important. I'd almost forgot to mention the link here at the bottom, I'll also put in the description, and it's a 7-minute video to describe how to be a good presenter and the steps needed to take in preparing. Again, if a manager is letting you know that we need to put a new data system, and this is my example, a new data system to manage our overall accounts, the employee could be thinking, why? The system that we have now is perfectly fine. So there needs to be a relation to the employee on what's better about it. Is it more efficient? Is it easier to pull reports from? It makes the overall tracking easier. These thoughts that are going through management need to be conveyed to the employees as well. I think it makes it for a much more relaxing work environment if they find that the tasks that they're doing have like a purpose and there's a greater good to the whole, learning process. Learning can be pretty hard, especially when it comes to technology. And if they have the right tools provided, it makes the process a lot easier. At my job, right now I'm designated to oversee a program specifically geared for the transitional aged youth in the South LA area. And the material that we're using, or that I'm using, it's a really large, extensive book of information that was put together by a few different organizations that did research. It was conducted through the Columbia University. And what they did is that they found out that a lot of our younger youth, or millennials, don't have the soft skills that they need to get into the work environment, and even less with some of our probation youth, foster youth, and the homeless population. They don't have, maybe it's the examples or the mentors in place to teach them some of the skills. So there are organizations out there who have created material that are really beneficial to assisting in the training. And this is something that us as the city had been looking for a while. The Chamber of Commerce had been trying to work on something, and the material was always changing. But having this book, which outlines some of the concepts and activities that need to be covered, is really helpful. And then having some of the mentors come in and train me, since I'll be training, the youth, on lesson plans and other things like that. It's interesting, learning how to make it much more creative and not staying within one learning style for too long, but getting active, showing videos, using music, handouts, all those type of things to incorporate the learning experience and keeping the youth engaged. And I think it's the same thing with adults. We really do need to use various methods. Movement is important as we're presenting and trying to emphasize our points. And having some sort of framework to assist you with the whole process of getting your message to the audience is also very helpful. Lastly, I wanted to leave all of you with some resources. A website that I came across was vault.com, and it looks like it's a bunch of surveys that were taken on some of the best consulting groups, the law firms, has a list of different categories, but there are many different consulting firms on this list. So if you're ever in the need of, training, need to, connect with somebody, that looked like a great resource. And personally, if you're interested in getting a certificate, the university, Chico State University, offers a professional management and consulting certificate. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm sure a lot of the classes are online to assist with, long distance learning. And and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. You guys all have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.